Hi, I'm Allie. Join me as I show you how to do this spiral step necklace called the Spiral Dance using a lot of different materials in some dark kind of night colors. Remember, if you need any supplies, look below the video in the description and you can gather up all of your supplies on our website with links back there. Also, if you are a kit subscriber, this one is in your box with a lot of extra materials so you can kind of mix and match and make yours into exactly what you want. Gather up your supplies and let's get started. So to begin my video, what I'm going to do is put on a stop bead at the end of some thread. You can use green, you can use black for this project. Either way will work because it blends with your colors. I'm going to put on a stop bead, which is going to be a bead that is eventually going to come off the project. So I'm putting that on once, then twice through. And again, I have this extra thread so I can go in and take it off and add my clasp. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put on a collection of 8O seed beads. And I have it big just so you can kind of see what I'm using bead-wise. I have two 11Os, Miyuki and Toho, 15O, two crystals, some faceted Czech rounds, and some smooth Czech rounds, and then my 8O seed beads. I'm going to be doing the back of the necklace right now. So I'm putting on a lot of my 8O seed beads. And I want my 8Os probably about 4 inches or so in the back to do my seed beads. This spiral rope is more of a technique than a you must do it this way. There's a collection of materials here and you can really do whatever pattern and whatever style you want. You can keep it very small, you can go bigger, but I'm just going to continue to put on about 4 inches of seed beads. And then we're going to go in and start our right angle weave pattern. And when you are starting your right angle weave pattern, it's nice to start out with smaller beads and then progress into the bigger beads. There's also a number of different ways that you can go about creating and doing your spiral rope by making it fluffier, bigger, smaller, all of the above. So once you get all of your 8O seed beads on here for the back, which you can always add more on, we're going to get in a little closer and start putting on some of our seed beads and doing our spiral step technique. So once you get done putting on the collection of 8Os that you need, it's time for us to go in and start our spiral rope. The spiral rope is going to start with one 8O seed bead. And then to begin, I have my Toho Miyuki, 15O Miyuki, 11, then my other color 11. This is going to be my pattern for a little bit. So I have those 5 beads in the middle. We added that one 8O seed bead, and now we're going to sew back through the last 3 beads, the 2 that were on there and then the one that I just added. Give a nice tight pull, and that does our first little spiral. We're going to do the same thing again, repeating, adding an 8O, then we're going to add those 5 beads. And again, this is just the start of my pattern here, and then I'm going to go a little bit wild. Let all of those beads drop down next to your long line of 8O seed beads. And you're going to take your needle and thread now, and you're going to go back through the last 3 8Os, which is 2 that were already on there and 1 that you just put on. When you put this on, your next little embellishment will sit in front of the last one. From here, put on an 8O. Do it again. Drop down that 8O and that 5 seed beads. And then once again, you're going to watch me kind of spin it in my hand as we go and create. You're going to go back through 3 beads. 2 that are already there and the 1 that you just added as you were adding your extra beads that are going to puff out to the side. Now see how that's creating almost that ladder or that step stitch where it's progressing around in a spiral. It's going to continue to spiral around the design. And what you're going to do is we are going to go in and start adding other beads and other patterns to make it a little bit bigger, going and creating a bigger, fluffier line. So continue on with another 10 or so of those, and then we'll go in and we'll start adding some of our crystals as well. As your spiral is growing and nicely twisting around, you're going to start to want to add something bigger, and we're going to go into that progression. So my next progression that I'm going to do is a total of 12 of my wraps. I'm going to continue with that same pattern that we've been doing, but every other one I'm going to either pick up a blue or a Montana. I added my beads here, and I have on, instead of my 15-0 in the middle, my pattern now is my 11, a 15, that Aqua 4, a 15, and then my 11. And see how that sits a little bit puffed out. Then I'm going to add my next 8, and I'm going to go back to my color 1, color 2, 15, color 2, color 1. Let this one go here, up through the last 3 8-0s and out. Making sure again that it always sits in that spiral line. From here, 8-0 goes on. And then for my silver one, or my Montana, we're just going to go with an 11, Montana, 11. And there's no real pattern that you have to do for this. You can make this section longer. You could do it as a pair of earrings. If you are a subscriber to our best bead box, this kit subscription project is going to be really up to you how you want it to look. And I can't wait for everyone to share photos of their kit project in this spiral dance to see how they differ and how everybody used the materials. Give you lots of extra materials. So that way, if you wanted to, you could do the whole line in the center with 11-0 seed beads, which is going to get a tighter spiral. And you can see as it's growing here, I'm going back then to that in-between pattern. And then I'm going to go in after this one, back to my Aqua. And I'll know that I'm finished when I'm done with 3 of each of my crystals. So 3 light blue, 3 dark blue. And then I'm going to go in and start to add in some of my Czech rounds and faceted rounds, because we're going to go even bigger and a little bolder, which is going to create this kind of fluffy appearance as the necklace continues to grow. All right, now I'm going to add in another combination here where I have my Czech rounds and my faceted rounds. And just like I did with the crystals, I'm going to alternate them, but I'm also going to alternate with the crystals. So I'm starting out, coming out of my last little seed bead pass there. I have on 2 of my 11-0 seed beads, then 1 of my 6mm Czech glass rounds, and then 2 more 11-0 seed beads. And see how that kind of presents itself and sits up a little bit. After that, we're going to go in here as we kind of progress, and we are going to do another one of our combinations of that regular starter core and then the crystal combo. Starter core, faceted round. Regular core, crystal core. So you're doing the same pattern, but this time just in between each rotation, we're adding a regular round after the Montana and a faceted round after the Aqua. So now I'm after the faceted round here. We're going to go back to that regular stitch to keep it filled in of the 11 and the 15 combo, back through there, making sure, just like we've been doing, that it spins right after, that it has that progression to it. Add another 8-0 seed bead, and this time go in and add your crystal. So you're going to add your 4mm crystal there. And once again, make sure that has the positioning, that it's sitting after the last one. Right, like that. There you go. I'm just going to continue on then. After this one, I'll go in and I'll add a faceted round. And after the faceted round, I'll grab one of my Montana and start to build that as well. As we start to build it fluffier and go in and add more beads on that loop, we'll also do a technique where we do 2 of our loops in one section to keep it nice and full. At this point here, I'm going to go free form. So I'm going to basically pick up beads at random. I'm out of my last one here, and I've used 5 both of the faceted rounds and the rounds. And now I'm back to a faceted round here, adding on 1 8-0 and then 2 of my 11-0s in the darker color, 115, a faceted round, and then 2 more again of those darker colors. I'm also going to play around with filling in the gap here. So when I have a bigger section going on here where the loops get bigger, what I'm going to do is I'm going to double stack. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do 1 and 2 of my 11-0 seed beads, followed by 1 more of my crystals with a 15 on either end, 1 and 2 of my 11-0s. And you'll notice I did not add an 8-0. So I'm going to go in here and I'm double stacking, getting it even fuller, putting 2 of those on the same 8-0. Now I'll go 8-0 and I'll go back to my original pattern just to add a little bit of a balance in there and add a little bit of more color towards the middle. And then getting creative here, I'm going to go in and add another 8. And anytime I do that fluffy big double, I'm going to add my seed bead color after it. So I put on my 8, and now I'm going to again freeform 2 of my 11s, 115, 1 of my brighter crystal color, 115, 2 of my 11s. Let that drop down. Go in here back through the last of my 8-0 seed beads. And now once again, 1, 2 11s, followed by a 15, followed by a smooth round. And I'll do a 15, oops, 2 11s, and go a little bit bigger. I might even get crazy and decide to put 3 of my, or 2 of my crystals on one little loop as well too. And again, what this does is just fills it out. So going in here again, I'm going to add 1 of my 8s and then going back into that original crystal and seed bead colorway. And then I'm just going to basically increase the fluffiness. As you get bigger, then adding 2 in at a time. I switched also from the 1 crystal to 2 crystals at a time for a couple passes. I'm going to continue with that. And then what we get to do is downgrade as well. So you've got this big fluffy center that is going to have all of those crystals and that nice bling. And then we're going to go back and we're going to downgrade to match. So we're going to switch back to the single ball with an 11-0 on each side. The only thing that I'm keeping consistent the whole necklace is that center core every other or every third pass, going in and doing that center core color. Once you finish up with your spiral rope and you're getting the same design on both sides here, see that nice full middle, you're going to put your clasp on. So I've taken my stop bead off one side and I have on my needle and thread, I'm adding 1 and 2 of my 11-0s, going up through the back of my cup button. And here in the middle, I'll add my 15, my lighter blue 11 and my 15. Coming down through the button on the other side then. Give a nice tight pull. 1 and 2 more 11-0 seed beads. And then I'm simply going to come back up through those 2 that I just added from my button. See how that makes a nice little V. Go through your beads, reinforcing, and then back down after your cup button through those 2 beads there. And now you're going to take your extra thread in towards the design, and what we're going to do is we're going to tie it back off near the start or end, depending on which side you're on of your spiral rope. So you're just going to take your needle and thread the whole way back through, reinforcing that extra little line there to the back of your necklace. And then on the other side, I'm going to use my darker 11-0s to make my loop for my button to attach to. And that's going to be about 26 of those beads to make the loop coming out of that row of my 8-0 seed beads. So I'm almost back here. And then once I'm back in the spiral rope, I will be able to get rid of my thread and nobody will even notice. So I'm going to go in right here, create a loop, going underneath one of the bridge threads here, taking my thread through that loop that I've created once, through the loop, twice, through the loop, and giving a nice tight pull to finish off the design. Go in with my thread burner now and burn the other side. And on this side here, I'm taking off my stop bead and I'm going to do my loop to sit in to the end of my button. Once you're done adding on your clasp here, you have a loop on one side, button on the other side, and you can see this nice full spiral rope look. There is so many varieties and variations on this, so make sure to post your box design in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. Thanks so much for joining me, box subscribers. And if you're not, you should totally be a box subscriber. This is just one of 3 fun projects each month that you get surprised to you each month, delivered to your door. Remember, if you have any questions or anything, also feel free to contact us and write in the comments below. As always, if you haven't yet, hit that little subscribe button so you don't miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.